installment of policy initiatives for this session. Today we'll focus on public safety initiatives. As you know, we have had the top 3 priority lists for this General Assembly session from our caucus, focusing first on jobs and economic growth. I don't know if you can have jobs and economic growth without a safe and secure public. For free flow of goods and consumer confidence, it's imperative that our public feels safe in their homes and their communities and around the Commonwealth. Today we have joined with us leaders from the Courts Committee. We have Dave Albo, who's the chairman of the Courts Committee. We have Rob Bell, who is the chairman of the Crime Commission, as well as the chairman of the Subcommittee on Criminal Matters in our Courts Committee, and Ben Klein, who is a prosecutor, as well as the chairman of our Judicial Selection Committee. You will hear from each of these gentlemen on a number of the bills that they're putting forward. First, Delegate Albo, House Bills 49 and 50 that deal with DUI-related offenses. Delegate.
Thank you. I wish I was better at memorizing quotes, but I do know that Thomas Jefferson believed that the first order of government is to provide security for the people. And as Chris had mentioned, you can't have anything. We can't have good schools. We can't have good roads. We can't have commerce. We can't have anything if people are afraid to go out in the street and if crime is not controlled. And this year we've been very fortunate. The governor has put money into the budget to fund some of the criminal law initiatives that we've been trying to get passed for years. Rob, how long have we been trying to do some of this stuff? Yeah, some of these things we've been waiting to do forever. And one of the ones I want to talk about is DUI. You know that 1 person a day is killed by a drunk driver in Virginia. If that happened in one day, people would freak out. But we've gotten used to it. It happens slowly and surely, and 1 person dies, and people have become anesthetized to it. One of the things we wanted to do was to beef up the punishments on people who kill people on the roads. Unfortunately, our current law, if a person drives drunk and kills somebody, they generally do less than a year in prison. And that's just the way the sentencing guidelines work out. So we've got one of the bills we have says if a person drives drunk and kills somebody, they will do no less than 1 year in jail. That doesn't mean they can't do more, but it means that no judge has the discretion of doing anything less than 1 year. If they drive drunk in a reckless wanton disregard for life-limited property, that's called aggravated DUI manslaughter, it's 5 years. In other words, no judge can give anybody less than 5 years in prison. The other one is DUI maiming. It was my bill passed a number of years ago. With medical science, is that people can live when they get in horrific accidents. So you can have a person drive drunk and hit somebody and paralyze them, but they don't die, and that's not DUI manslaughter. So we passed a bill called DUI maiming, which is serious DUI plus serious bodily injury. And this bill establishes a mandatory minimum of 1 year, meaning that no judge can give anybody less than 1 year in prison for DUI maiming.
Next, we'll have Delegate Bell speaking to House Bills 968 and 973, dealing with drugs and rape offenses. Delegate Bell.
I think I'd like to second what David said. This has been an ongoing project for our entire legislative careers. And it's very exciting to reach a point where we can get some of these measures we worked on for years and years finally passed. The first bill I'm going to talk about is House Bill 968. It would increase the penalties for repeat offense drug dealers. These would be the people that are selling drugs. They get convicted, they go back into the community, they come out again, get convicted again. These are the people that have made a career out of destroying our communities. We would have a mandatory minimum jail sentence for the second offense and a longer mandatory minimum jail sentence for the third offense. This has been a priority of the governor, and we're happy to see it through. This will help make neighborhoods safer and families safer in their communities. The second is House Bill 973. This is a bill that would apply a mandatory life sentence to rape of a child under 12 or under 13, 12 or under. And last year, or I guess over the last 2 years, there were 228 of these cases in the Commonwealth of Virginia. More than half of all rapes are of children under 13. And the median sentence, well, of the 228, only 10 received life sentences, and the median sentence was only 13 years. These are people that are dangerous. They're dangerous for their entire lives. I think the only way to keep kids safe is to keep these people behind bars, and we're very happy that the governor has seen fit to put this in his budget. We want to see this through. with those two bills, we hope that the Commonwealth will be a safer place for families, and I recommend them to you. Thank you.
And finally, we'll hear from Delegate Klein on House Bills 752, 751, dealing with a number of issues, but primarily gang recruitment on the second. And after we have Delegate Klein speak, we'll take questions of the patrons. Thank you.
Thanks, Delegate Peace. I'm pleased to sponsor two pieces of legislation dealing with security inside the home, primarily related to making sure that our families are safe inside the home and outside when it comes to domestic violence as well as gang recruitment. All too often we see young people recruited into gangs in our communities, and House Bill 7051 would amend the gang recruitment statutes to increase to a Class 6 felony from a Class 1 misdemeanor the recruitment of anyone into a gang. It would also reduce from a Class 6 to a Class 5 felony up to 10 years in prison anyone recruiting an individual to join a criminal street gang with the threat of force. And that would include juveniles as well as adults. So taking action against gangs in our community is something that the governor supports, and I'm happy to patron this bill as well. The second piece of legislation is anti-strangulation legislation. I served for a couple of years as a domestic violence prosecutor in Harrisonburg, and all too often we saw cases involving domestic violence where strangulation was used to the point where there were visible injuries on the victim. That includes bruising, anything from blood vessels in the eyes to bruising on the neck. Often you can see a handprint on the neck. So using our malicious wounding statutes, we've crafted a bill that would make a Class 6 felony impeding the blood circulation or respiration of a person by applying pressure to the neck, resulting in wounding or bodily injury. So hopefully that will address some of the more severe cases of domestic violence in our communities. Domestic violence is a problem that continues to grow in the Commonwealth, and I commend the governor for taking steps to address it.
Other questions of the patrons? And Marie. To whom and which bill? Yes, ma'am.
Well, this is an existing distribution statute, so it would be either distribution or possession with intent. And if you have the second offense, it's a 5-year mandatory penalty. It's the second, third offense will go from 5 years to 10. And so this, we certainly hope people never deal drugs, but we hope that if they do, having been convicted, sentenced, punished once, we hope they would stop. And this is to get the people that just are refusing to stop even after they've been convicted once before. This is not, there are different issues with regards to quantities. So this, it's not marijuana, by the way. This is entirely different statutes. This is the harder drugs. And it's not a quantity based. We have kingpin statutes. We even have a mini kingpin statute. This is not. This is just straight distribution.
Wes, you had a question?
Yeah, I think that both of mine and both of Dave's are okay. So all of them have passed the Courts of Justice Committee. So the courts has made its decision. We think these are good policy. They went upstairs to the Appropriations Committee to be, we all hope, included in the budget.
No further questions from the patrons? Okay. Hearing none, we will not have the Monday 11 o'clock next week because it's crossover, but we are working to plan a rollout and review of the House policy successes on Wednesday. Do we have a time yet, Kate? Time to be determined. So thank you very much for attending.